This is my punishment. Come receive yours, Exile.
Sloth! I shall free you. Distasteful!
Must have time to gather my will.
You and I both know this isn't over.
Holy Flame Totem versus Divine Ire Totem Builds. Which one is better and which one is right for you? Welcome everyone, I'm Gyro, I'm your host here. Today we'll be looking very closely at these two very popular totem build types in Path of Exile. So totem builds are awesome in my opinion. Do not listen to any naysayers or elitists. They are entitled to their opinions, but so are we. People who are there to have chilled fun and slaughter everything with very little investment. In this video I'll compare two Templar Hierophant totem builds that I've been playing with lately. Holy Flame Totems and Divine Ire Totems. And I'll let you know what I think personally for me is better or feels better, and offer you nice and easy, very light touch, kind of beginner friendly build guides for both. Sounds good? Well, let's jump straight into this. Any totem build is great in my view because you let your totems do the fighting for you while staying out of harm's way and having a lot more time and space on your hands to dodge dangerous mob and boss mechanics. Any other build that makes you stop and cast something or to be in melee range of the dangerous bosses makes your life much harder by definition, and I don't think we can even argue about that. So without a doubt it's much harder to play those builds, while totems, any totems, take the brunt of the damage and bosses' attention onto themselves, which we love them for. Looking close at Holy Flame Totem builds, more specifically I would like to say that I have an in-depth beginner-friendly guide for this build in case you've just discovered this particular video but didn't see the other one. So please take a few extra minutes and watch that one if you're interested in the Holy Flame Totem builds. I am not going to stop and repeat everything here, what I said in that video. Holy Flame Totems are great because they start inflicting fire damage instantly. Like, you put the totems in the ground and they start channeling straight away, frying everything that's not immune to fire. The impact from putting those totems in the ground is instant for you as a player, and that counts for a lot. Holy Flame Totems also create consecrated ground underneath you, underneath your feet, that makes you as a player 100% immune to curses while you stand there. It trivializes a lot of encounters such as Doedre, for example, the boss while you level. It could cause a lot of issues to some other classes, but not to Holy Flame Totem builds. Holy Flame Totem is also a totem on its own. So in order for it to work in its most basic form, you just need one socket. While other totem builds, any other totem builds, need at least two. The spell itself and the spell totem support. It matters because the more sockets you have open for support gems, the obviously stronger you can make your build without having 6 linked sockets everywhere, for example. And let's not forget that my guides are for beginners of Path of Exile, and beginners of the game usually don't have those kind of pieces of gear for quite some time and into probably early end game before they get their first 6 linked socket gear that can kind of offer you an extra slot there, extra thing to put your gem in. Now let's talk about Divine Ire. So firstly, Divine Ire is not available as a spell early in the game, and you would not be able to level with it early in the game even if you wanted to. I think you get it around level 30 if I'm not mistaken. So instead I suggest that if you decided to go down this path further in the game, you pick a lightning based spell and you build your character around lightning based spell until you get Divine Ire. If that ends up, like I said, being that your pick towards end game. Ball Lightning or Arc could be good couple of choices here for spells that you get fairly early in the game. Ball Lightning I think straight away you have access to as from level like 1, and Arc you get around level 12. So those could be a good intermittent kind of choices of lightning based spells for your totem build. So Divine Ire is a charge up spell that does some relatively minor AoE damage while charging, but yes, it keeps some minor mobs at bay, you know, provides some rudimentary kind of background there, protection for the totems while they charge, or for you as a player if you're casting this spell manually. And then it releases a beam of energy, killing everything, usually quite massive amount of damage doing. So it's kind of like a laser shotgun. If one existed, that's what a laser shotgun would look and feel like, I think. Problem with Divine Ire is that if, like I said, you're using the spell as a player, you need to stand still and charge it before releasing that beam, which means much harder targeting because targets move, and it means sure death in most circumstances because you are standing still and enemies can get to you. So beyond level 50, 60, when content gets a little bit harder, I say that's a sure death type of gameplay. Not enjoyable, definitely not enjoyable. But as a totem play, Divine Ire is suddenly becoming a lot more enjoyable and quite awesome. Put simply, it feels very different to Holy Flame Totem play though, because Divine Ire totems still take a little bit of that time to charge up fully before shooting the beams. So that means kind of a little bit of a stop and go type of gameplay. Quite a bit more so feels that way than Holy Flame Totem does. As with Holy Flame Totems, you just run around instantly dropping the totems and they instantly start burning the enemies. With Divine Ire, you place totems, hope they don't get destroyed while they charge up, because it's a few seconds of time, and then you do enjoy a massive meaty shotgun shots of laser beams that shred everything. So Divine Ire is a lot more sensitive to your positioning as a player, I would say. It requires a little bit more of skill, so to speak, yeah, in the game than Holy Flame Totem would. And I would not put Divine Ire totems into the bunch of mobs. For example, I would not drop them on top of mobs, because that usually means that even with that little charge up AoE, tougher mobs will still get to the totems and start damaging them straight away, and there is a high risk of those totems being destroyed. I've seen it many times in Ultimatum encounters for 3.14 and in some other circumstances on the end game maps during those intense encounters, such as Breach, for example. Divine Ire is therefore a little more, I'm gonna say, troublesome for the player. One could say that, especially if we try to compare one-to-one to Holy Flame Totem builds. It does, however, pay off because it does a lot more damage in bursts. As long as, like I said, you're clever about positioning, as long as you leave a bit of space between the mobs and the totems when you drop them, as long as you know that the damage will come in 2-3 seconds rather than instantly, you know? So I've definitely noticed how long it took for my Holy Flame totems to burn down slightly tougher targets, while Divine Ire totems in similar circumstances, they literally just destroyed everything and bosses, including the bosses, in what felt like seconds. Now, because I have covered Holy Flame Totem build at length and I do not have a proper guide for Divine Ire totems, I might as well use this time to kind of give you a bit of a mini guide on the adjustment of your totem build, existing totem build, possibly the one that is based on Holy Flame Totem for you, towards Divine Ire, in case it sounds like your cup of tea and you'd like to give it a try. So Divine Ire as an ability relies a lot more heavily on support gems. because it's not a totem by itself. Starting with the obvious spell totem support gem, you cannot go around it. Then multiple totems support. I use that gem for both builds, for Holy Flame Totem and for Divine Ire. Faster casting support is kinda critical here because it's a non-instant spell, a charge up spell. Added lightning damage support and infused channeling support. Herald of Thunder appears to me to be a very handy buff to lightning damage, as well as Lightning Golem provides some assistance and keeps you company. I kinda like it. So in Divine Ire build, as opposed to Holy Flame Totem build, I've started also using curses that you can obviously expand even to your Holy Flame Totem build, but just different curse, right? But I didn't bother with that personally because, as you can see, I was having some kind of early success in the game with Holy Flame Totem before I started hitting more serious content with the end game maps, and then I just switched to Divine Ire and decided that I do need to boost it further. For the curse, I am interested in Conductivity curse, because it increases the lightning damage and reduces the target's lightning resistances. And in my gear setup, one particular piece of gear to call out here, and probably the only one to call out here, I am just lucky to have Vixen's Entrapment Gloves. They auto-trigger the socketed curse skill, Conductivity, with increased AoE support in my case, which when I cast another curse. So in my case, that other curse is Punishment. It debilitates the enemy massively when they are low on life. This helps a lot. It doesn't matter for smaller, for flimsier targets, but when you deal with bosses or tougher targets on endgame maps, it suddenly starts paying off quite massively. So I do throw in a curse and throw then the totems, while with Holy Flame Totem I never bothered doing anything other than just throwing a few totems there. For movement, I still use Flame Dash and Withering Step. Flame Dash I use almost exclusively to get up the ledges and get out of dodge if I need to just literally just jump, yeah. And Withering Step is my almost auto cast that is bound to my left mouse click. I practically have it always on as I run around. Passive skill tree looks very similar to our Holy Flame Totem build that I've already invited you to take a closer look at if you're interested. But in this case, we are obviously not taking anything related to fire, but focus our attention, or refocus our attention if you like, on lightning skills. And this particular massive group of those passive skills up here above the witch part of the passive skill tree that we extended to from our original Templar kind of origin, sort of where we were. And as always, path of building links to my builds are in the description of this video, so you're very welcome to click on the link and go to the browser tool that is going to open the whole passive skill tree for you, and you can copy it there. For Ascendancy, we are staying the same as I have told you my intention for the Holy Flame Totem build. All totem builds remain the same in my opinion. We ascend as a Templar Hierophant, and during your first Labyrinth completion you pick Pursuit of Faith, and during your second Labyrinth completion you go to Ritual of Awakening. Then you would start boosting your Arcane Surge procs, so you would go towards Arcane Blessing and Illuminated Devotion as kind of potentially 4 runs of the Labyrinth that realistically you would do as a beginner who is quite dedicated to this build. So as I wrap up, which totem build is better for you? Once again, it's not a cop-out, but it is kind of your call. I try to just be as descriptive and as honest with you as possible in terms of how both builds feel. So it's kind of your choice. It's a matter of taste, playstyle preference, and also investment into the game as a player. Because if you're not too invested, if you're just intermittently playing Path of Exile, you might be okay with Holy Flame Totem build because it's very beginner friendly. But if you're trying to hit the maps and try to push endgame, then I would say you would do what I did, and you would change your Holy Flame Totem build by refunding all of the points invested into any fire nodes and picking anything lightning related as per my recommendations there in Path of Building. So you would probably go with Divine Ire and much higher damage output towards endgame. And this is it, my friends. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you still enjoy my beginner-friendly, unpretentious little guides here. If you do, please give the video a like. It is much appreciated and your vote counts. And subscribe to the channel for more similar videos coming your way at the rate of about 1 video per week. Thank you very much. I'll be speaking with you very soon again. See you later. Bye-bye.